Volkanovski, although he has accrued just 2 defeats, Moreno, who recaptured the flyweight crown by stopping former champion Davison Figueiredo with 4 stoppages in 5 wins. At 41, there isn't much left to prove for former UFC welterweight champion Robbie Lawler. But the man on the short list of greatest... For the 11th straight year to kick off the summer, UFC will open up its doors in Las Vegas to International Fight Week festivities that are highlighted by a pay-per-view fight card inside T-Mobile Arena. A pair of title bouts appear atop the marquee for Saturday's UFC 290 event, which is headlined by Featherweight title unification pairing dominant champion Alexandre Volkanovski against upstart interim title holder Yair Rodriguez. In the co-feature, Brandon Moreno defends his 125-pound title against the dangerous Alexandre Pantoja. Let's take a closer look at the biggest storylines entering the business. Volkanovski, the sports reigning pound for pound king, is running out of major challenges at 145 pounds. And given how close he came to unseating lightweight king Islam Makhachev in their disputed February super fight, there's reason to believe Saturday's 5th title defense, this time against interim belt holder Yair Rodriguez, could be his last before seeking a Makhachev rematch and a full-time move up in weight. With all due respect to rising title contender Ilia Topuria, who dominated Josh Emmett last month, a potential victory over Rodriguez could be the final step for Volkanovski in supplanting contemporaries like Holloway and Jose Aldo as the best 145-pound fighter in UFC history. The main reason for Volkanovski's claim would be how thoroughly he has defeated the biggest names available to him. Volkanovski won 22 consecutive fights heading into the Makhachev bout and owns featherweight victories over Chad Mendes, Aldo, Holloway 3 times, Brian Ortega, and the Korean zombie Chain Sung Jung. And the fact that he won so dominantly over a still viable Aldo in 2019 might be the difference maker in allowing him to pass the King of Rio on the all-time rankings list. Volkanovski is not only a complete and brilliant fighter, he has shown time and again, particularly in defeating Ortega, just how durable and spectacular he can be in the face of danger. No one brings danger quite like this version of Rodriguez, which only amps up what's potentially at stake for Volkanovski with another victory. Although he has accrued just 2 defeats in 13 UFC fights, with both coming against future Hall of Famers in Frankie Edgar and Holloway, Rodriguez has long been known for bright flashes of greatness balanced out by inconsistency. All of that seemed to change for the 30-year-old native of Mexico when he fought Holloway in 2021. Despite losing a close decision, Rodriguez landed more sustained damage and proved he belongs among the 145-pound elites. The stoppage victories that followed against Ortega via shoulder injury and Emmett for the interim title only cemented the fact that Rodriguez has matured his game enough to eliminate big mistakes without sacrificing the element of danger he brings. Rodriguez's resume is also sneaky good when one considers he owns wins over the likes of Dan Hooker, Andre Fili, BJ Penn, the Korean zombie, and Jeremy Stevens before his recent run. While a win over Volkanovski would undoubtedly be the biggest of his career and possibly set up a rematch with Holloway, Rodriguez is one of the rare opponents who brings a legitimate chance at unseating the reigning featherweight king due to the combination of his explosive strikes and unshakable confidence. Seeing Rodriguez as a strong betting underdog is understood given Volkanovski's sustained run of dominance, but El Pantera is as live of a dog as anyone Volkanovski has faced as champion. Moreno, who recaptured the flyweight crown by stopping former champion Davison Figueiredo in their historic 4th meeting in January, joins Rodriguez on Saturday as 2 of the faces of Mexican MMA's recent rise, which has also included Alexa Grasso's March upset of women's 125-pound champion Valentina Shevchenko. But Moreno's second reign as champion will be over before it starts if he can't erase the past he has endured with Alexandre Pantoja. The 33-year-old Brazilian submission threat is not only bringing a 3-fight win streak, including stoppages of Brandon Royval and Alex Perez, he brings the confidence of having twice defeated Moreno in big spots. Pantoja submitted Moreno in round 2 of their exhibition bout on the 2016 season of The Ultimate Fighter, Tournament of Champions. 2 years later, Pantoja scored a unanimous decision over Moreno in their exciting rematch. If there's one thing MMA fans learned about Moreno from his extended rivalry with Figueiredo, who edged Pantoja by decision in 2019. It's that the 29-year-old assassin baby has become very adept at keeping his poise and making key mid-fight adjustments within chaos. 5 years removed from their last meeting, Pantoja is fighting a very different Moreno this weekend as the all-action division continues to churn out compelling pairings among its elite fighters. With 4 stoppages in 5 wins since making his UFC debut in 2020, Du Plessis has emerged as an interesting player in the middleweight title picture. But DD has undoubtedly benefited from the fact that champion Israel Adesanya has so thoroughly cleaned out the division, as Uvsek Brass has allowed him to cut the line at 185 pounds into Saturday's one contenders fight against former champion Robert Whittaker. A quick glance through the top 10 at middleweight is enough to explain why Du Plessis is here. Consecutive finishes of Darren Till and Derek Brunson over the past 7 months don't hurt either. But has the native of South Africa truly done enough to deserve his spot as such a clear underdog against someone the talent level of Whittaker? It's a debate that's largely a moot one because of President Dana White has already announced Du Plessis would be next for the Nigerian-born Adesanya with an upset win, which would answer the question Du Plessis once presented while trash-talking the champion by claiming he will prove who the real African-born champion is. At 41, there isn't much left to prove for former UFC welterweight champion Robbie Lawler. But the man on the short list of greatest action fighters in the sport's history will suit up for the final time in the featured preliminary bout when he faces fellow brawler Nico Price. Lawler hasn't been all that successful since losing his 170-pound title via first-round knockout to Tyron Woodley in 2016, and he enters the Price fight having lost 6 of his last 8, albeit against largely elite competition. But wins and losses have never defined the amazing career of Lawler, a former Miletich Fighting Systems product who turned pro in 2001 and has fought everywhere from Strikeforce and Elite XC to Eiffel and Pride before starting a second-and-fuck stint in 2013, where he never looked back. Over his 22-year career, Lawler owns victories over who including Chris Lyle, Frank Trigg, Melvin Manhoef, Matt Lindland, Josh Koscheck, Rory McDonald twice, Matt Brown, Johnny Hendricks, Carlos Condit, Donald Cerrone, and Nick Diaz. But it's the bloody and courageous wars he left behind that will ultimately define why the no-nonsense Lawler remains so beloved. He's of a different time and era, yet remains a timeless legend because of the violent purity of how he conducted himself